I destroyed my relationship because I couldn't silence one ugly, intrusive thought. Now he's gone, and even my closest friends avoid me like I'm unstable. I know how that sounds. I wouldn't believe me either if I were you. I used to be the level-headed friend. The one who gave good advice, who always saw red flags before anyone else. I was the one who said, trust your gut. Don't ignore patterns. But sometimes, your gut is just fear wearing a costume. And patterns? Sometimes they only exist because you're obsessed with finding them. My name is Jenna. I'm 30, I work in marketing, and I used to believe I was a rational person. That was before I ruined the best relationship I ever had because I couldn't get one stupid image out of my head. I'm sitting here now, alone at a bar we used to come to, Marcus and I. He loved the charcuterie board, always ordered the same Malbec. I can still hear his laugh in my head, like a ghost haunting this place. He was kind, steady, never flirted with other women, never made me feel like I was competing. But the moment I saw a photo of his ex, something broke. She was tiny. No makeup. Braces in one picture. Wearing these cutesy pastel dresses. She looked like she still shopped in the junior section at Target. And just like that, the seed was planted. I started wondering, why would a grown man date someone who looks like she's barely legal? Was a next in a type? A pattern? At first, I laughed it off. I even joked about it to a friend. But late at night, when I couldn't sleep, my brain would spiral. What if he only liked me because I looked younger than I am? What if he was hiding something deeper? What if I was ignoring red flags because I was scared of being alone again? I convinced myself I was being protective, smart, intuitive. But now, I'm starting to wonder if I was just projecting all my broken pieces onto someone who didn't deserve it. Was I protecting myself, or just projecting my own fears? Marcus and I met at a startup conference in Denver, one of those 3-day tech events where everyone's pretending to network but really just hoping to meet someone interesting. He was sitting alone at a coffee booth, typing on his laptop, while everyone else hovered in packs. I cracked a joke about the terrible lattes, and he looked up, smiled, and said, "Yeah, I've had worse, but not by much." That's how it started. Easy. Effortless. Marcus was different from the guys I'd dated before. He was soft-spoken, stable, and actually listened when I talked. He was a software engineer, brilliant but not arrogant. The kind of man who'd fix your Wi-Fi and ask how your day went in the same breath. He never love-bombed me. Never rushed anything. Just slowly showed up, over and over, until I realized I trusted him without even trying. One night, maybe a few months in, we were sitting on his balcony watching the rain when I asked him about his ex. He just shrugged and said, "Leah, we weren't aligned long-term. She wanted different things. No bitterness. No dodging. It felt healthy." But weeks later, I saw a photo of her. Not because I was snooping, at least, not at first. One of his mutuals tagged him in an old birthday post, and there she was. Petite. Clear skin. Barely any makeup. And in some pictures, braces. Braces. At her age. At first, I laughed it off in my head. Maybe she just had orthodontic work late. Maybe it's an old picture. Maybe I'm overthinking. But the more I looked, the younger she seemed. Not just physically, but the way she dressed. Pastel hoodies. Hello Kitty socks. I remember texting my best friend Molly, saying, "Is it just me, or does she look like a teenager?" Molly replied, "Be careful you're not making up a problem that isn't there." But it felt real. That's what terrified me. From there, I spiraled. I started going through Leah's socials, saving photos, even Googling to find her LinkedIn, to check her age. I was relieved when I saw she was 29. But that only confused me more. Because if she's 29, why does she look 19? And worse, why did Marcus date someone who looks like that? Every time we watched a movie or walked past a college-aged girl, I caught myself studying his face. Did his eyes linger? Did he smile too long? I couldn't tell if I was jealous or genuinely scared he was hiding something disturbing. I didn't know then that this was the beginning of the end. It happened on a random Thursday night. We were watching a comedy special, laughing, sharing Thai takeout on the couch, just like we had a dozen times before. Then a young female comedian came on. She had this baby face, oversized hoodie, pigtails for the bit. I caught Marcus smiling. Not in a weird way. Not creepy. Just amused. But suddenly, something snapped inside me. I muted the TV. Sat straight up. My heart was racing and I didn't even know why. Why do you only date girls who look underage? He blinked. Laughed at first, confused. What? Leo looked like she wasn't even old enough to drive. And now this? You clearly have a type. His expression changed instantly. Like I just slapped him. Where is this coming from? I couldn't stop. My voice got louder, sharper. I told him he liked girls who were too young to know better. That he dated women who didn't have real-life experience because they were easier to control. That maybe he wasn't as safe as I thought. He sat there, stunned. His face drained of color. Leah is 29, he said, slowly. She had braces because of a car accident. She wore pastel sweaters because that's what she liked. Are you seriously accusing me of something like this? It's a pattern, I snapped. You act like this nice guy, but deep down, you're attracted to girls who still look like high schoolers. That's not normal, Marcus. That's sick. That word, sick, hung in the air like poison. He stood up. Shook his head, eyes wide in disbelief. I thought you were different, he said quietly, but you don't trust me at all. You'd rather believe a made-up story in your head than the truth I've shown you every single day. I thought he'd yell. Slam the door. But instead, he just left. Didn't pack a bag. Didn't say goodbye. Just walked out into the night like he couldn't stand to be near me another second. He didn't call the next day. Or the day after that. I tried to stay calm, but my anxiety grew claws. I kept checking my phone, rereading old texts, convincing myself he was hiding because he felt guilty. So I wrote him this long, rage-fueled message, 3 paragraphs of everything I had bottled up. I said he manipulated me. Groomed me. That I finally saw the real him. And I ended it with, you disgust me. I hit send. And the moment I did, something deep inside me cracked. He never replied. Not a single word. I waited a day. Then 2. Then a week. I sent a short follow-up message, can we please talk? But the message never delivered. That's when I realized he'd blocked me everywhere. Texts, Instagram, WhatsApp, even Venmo. At first, I felt rage. Then confusion. Then a cold, creeping panic that wrapped around my chest and wouldn't let go. Our mutual friends, people we used to hang out with, stopped reaching out. No one invited me to the next game night. Or the concert Marcus had tickets for. One girl, Julia, messaged me privately. Jenna. I'm saying this as gently as I can. You crossed a serious line. And then, the hardest pill, Molly. My best friend. My lifeline. She came over one night, sat across from me at my kitchen table, and said, "You didn't expose a predator. You ruined a man because of your own baggage." I wanted to scream, cry, defend myself. But I couldn't. Because some small, quiet part of me knew she was right. That weekend, I deleted my socials. I couldn't look at myself in filtered selfies or scroll through highlight reels of lives I'd never feel part of again. I couldn't sleep. Couldn't eat. My job performance tanked. I'd stare at the screen, rereading emails without absorbing a single word. I was going through the motions like a ghost. Eventually, I booked a therapy appointment. Not because I wanted to, but because I couldn't survive another week in my own head. And that's where the truth started peeling back, slowly, painfully. It wasn't about Marcus. It was never about Marcus. It was about me. About how I never felt enough. How every time someone got too close, I searched for a reason to ruin it before they could hurt me. I was so scared of being left behind that I'd rather burn everything down myself. I didn't see a predator in Marcus. I saw a man who was safe, loving, stable. And I couldn't trust that someone like him would choose someone like me, without an ulterior motive. So I made up one. And now, I'm sitting in the ruins of what used to be something real. It had been about a month. I was still going to therapy. Still healing. Still trying to understand how I'd let everything unravel so badly. Then one Saturday morning, I bumped into Evan, Marcus's best friend, at a farmer's market of all places. He used to joke that Marcus was a walking cliché because he loved locally grown kale. We locked eyes. He looked like he didn't want to speak to me. But I walked up anyway. "Evan, please. Can I just ask you one thing?" He sighed, took a breath, and then said, not angrily, just tired, "Do you even know what you did to him?" I stood there frozen. He continued, calmly, like he had rehearsed this in his head 100 times. Leah had juvenile arthritis. It stunted her growth for a while. She had to have dental surgery twice. That's why she had braces at 27. She's a project consultant now, makes 6 figures. She runs leadership workshops, owns a condo, mentors young girls in STEM. I blinked, stunned. Evan shook his head. "You built this entire conspiracy in your head based on a couple of Instagram photos. You didn't ask Marcus. You didn't give him the benefit of the doubt. You just projected." He didn't say it with venom. He didn't need to. Every word was a brick in the wall I had built around myself, and now it was caving in. I remembered Marcus telling me Leah was mature. That they just wanted different things. He had told me the truth. I just didn't listen. Because I didn't want the truth. I wanted proof that my fear was justified. That my insecurity meant something. That my instincts were right, even when they were rotting from the inside out. I walked away from Evan that day in a daze. And that's when it hit me, I hadn't just lost Marcus. I defamed him. I told people he was dangerous. That he was a manipulator. That he had predatory tendencies. I wasn't the wronged girlfriend. I was the girl who blew up a good man's life because I couldn't sit with my own wounds long enough to see clearly. I wasn't the victim. I was the villain. And the worst part, there was no way to take it back. He wasn't perfect, but he was patient, honest, and safe. And I destroyed that because I didn't trust anyone, not even myself. There's a difference between gut instinct and trauma whispering lies in your ear. I didn't know that before. I thought overthinking meant being smart, hypervigilant, emotionally intelligent. But sometimes, it just means you're scared. Marcus wasn't a fantasy. He had flaws. He snored. He double-texted too much. He left wet towels on the bed. But he also remembered my coffee order. He held space for my panic attacks. He asked how I was really doing, even when I said I was fine. And when it mattered most, I didn't believe him. Because I was still clinging to an old story, that love is a trick and trust is a trap. So I blew it up. I scorched the earth. But I'm trying to rebuild now. It's slow. Messy. But I show up for therapy every Tuesday at 3 o'clock. I write in a journal, even when all I can manage is a single sentence: I am learning. I even wrote Marcus an apology letter. Never send it, probably never will. But it helped me admit out loud what I did, that I hurt someone because I hadn't yet healed myself. Now, when I see TikToks diagnosing someone's boyfriend with narcissism because he forgot a birthday, I swipe past. When friends start gossiping about someone based on half a story, I change the subject. Because I know how damaging one whispered assumption can be. And more importantly, I know how fast people will believe it. I used to think calling people out made me brave. That burning bridges meant I was strong. But real strength? It's looking in the mirror and saying, maybe the problem was me. I thought I was being protective, but I was being paranoid. And sometimes, love dies not from betrayal, but from fear that never got addressed. I don't know if I'll ever see Marcus again. But I hope, wherever he is, he found peace. And I hope I'll find it too. Have you ever pushed someone away just because you didn't know how to be loved?